timber this barn. Our love gives me warmth and shelter. Sounds like music and it smells so sweet. Grace and beauty are the constant beat. Horses around me and I feel like I'm home. 'Cause I'm wild about barns. 'Cause I'm wild about barns. 'Cause I'm wild about barns. Wild about barns.
But we're going to start with a journey into the past. So take a ride with me back to Oklahoma Territory in 1895, where a couple of immigrants built their American dream in the form of a very large barn.
The barn was bigger than their house, and significantly so because Mr. McGranahan's livelihood was to drive a mule team. Therefore, there was a lot of mules and livestock that were housed inside the barn. There was quite a few stalls located downstairs, and then the upstairs contained a hayloft where he would store all the hay for the mules. There was a trap where he would raise the hay up and then be able to distribute it to the mules. James and Sarah McGranahan are my great-great-great-grandparents. They came from Ireland to Oklahoma. They moved out to this location to be closer to a central point for transportation for his business. We are in the National Registry of Historic Places due to this site being part of the Chisholm Trail crossing. They then passed on the land to the next generation and then to the next generation. My family has always instilled in myself and my other sibling that we are only caretakers. Therefore, we are here to take care of the land and to pass it on to the next generation.
After standing nearly a century, the original McGranahan barn finally fell. Later, the Treese family gathered to consider the future.
We sat down as a family and said, what can we do to further value the land for the future generations? If farming is maybe not in their cards, to give value to the land and to continue the history.
The idea they came up with may surprise you.
Miss McGranahan was known for having lots of barn parties. She would have people come from all across Oklahoma Territory to join in on the dancing and the music. And so we really thought it was a tribute to her legacy to be able to contribute to other people's events and have them be able to enjoy the space for those things.
Inspired by their great-great-great-grandmother, they decided to rebuild the historic family barn as a venue for weddings and events. So you know that saying, if you build it, they will come? Is that what you and your dad used to do, is stand here and think that?
We used to do that, exactly. We would stand in this exact spot and talk about that.
And how about you, Eric? As the builder and the architect, would you come out here and just stare at the space and imagine it?
Actually, this is the first time I've ever been on site for this project.
The designer of this barn has never seen the actual finished product until today. All he had to go off of was the dimensions of the old barn and a copy of this photo.
It was really important to us to design this barn as close to the original barn as we could to continue the history, to keep the history alive. We specifically chose to go with Sand Creek Post and Beam because they went with the design we really wanted. They didn't force a generic setup or a generic barn. They wanted to get us back to the original design that we'd come up with.
So tell me, Eric, when you looked at the photos, how were you able to get the exact size, dimensions, everything, just by looking at the photograph?
Well, I just kind of put it into perspective on different heights and things that I've seen, and working with the numbers that the customer gave me, that's kind of how we came up with the overall height, the width, exactly the way the roof was going to line up and everything.
And tell me a little bit about the wood and why you chose this particular kind of wood.
We chose the pine wood siding on the outside because of its like honey hue tone, its distinct knot pattern. It gives a very good look from the outside that people tend to like and gravitate towards.
And I know you chose not to stain it, right, Mari?
That's correct. We're actually going to wait probably a few years. We really want to get that weathered look to even match more of the McGranahan's house before we seal it. Well, Eric, what do you think of the final product?
I think it turned out great. I mean, the spaciousness of it, the high ceilings, the exposed timbers, it's just like I imagined.
So, Mari, I understand that you guys wanted the posts to be a particular size. Is that correct?
That is correct. We like the look of an 8x, so it's a little bit bigger. We thought it looked great, and also for the longevity of the barn, to make it last longer and hopefully stand through another 100 years.
Typically, all of our Sand Creek buildings have 6x timbers in them, but we have the ability to customize to any size or species of lumber that the customer might desire for their future project.
And are 8x something that they used to do typically back in the day, like 100 years ago, or?
Back in the day, they still did the same style and sizes that we do. They used a variety of sizes, whether it was 6x, 8x, 10x, whatever they had available, that's what they were using.
Speaking of back in the day, some of the vintage lumber from the old barn was repurposed in the new construction.
In both the men's and women's restroom, we have lined the mirrors with the McGranahans' original barn wood, trying to incorporate as much as the old barn in our new barn as we can.
That's a neat design concept. It's a great idea to incorporate the old wood with the new wood. Something old, something new in there.
Eric, let's take a peek upstairs. I'd love to show you how the loft area turned out.
Great, I'd love to see it.
The McGranahans' old hayloft got a new purpose, too.
And so now in the rebuilding of their barn, I wanted to make upstairs substantial enough that it could hold quite a bit of people and that there could be dancing and a lot of activity up there as well as downstairs.
God, Eric, this is so beautiful. It's so light and open and airy. I just love the open concept. Is this something that you wanted, Mari?
I definitely wanted the big open feel that this has.
Every one of our buildings has this same concept in it. It's kind of a signature or a trademark of what we do. We like to have all the timbers exposed, all the roof purlins exposed, as well as leave the natural pine roof sheeting. It just gives for a good, warm feeling inside the building.
So I understand you just held your very first wedding event here over the weekend.
Yes, we did have the opportunity to host our first wedding. There was probably about 400 guests that we welcomed through our big barn doors. They did the ceremony outside and then came inside for the reception, and they had food, dancing downstairs, dancing upstairs, and we also could still use at least 12 tables up here and had about 14 downstairs. So everyone was really happy, especially me, because everyone fit so comfortably and got to really enjoy the essence of the barn. I think James and Sarah would be very proud of the legacy. I also think that they're watching over us every event we have and every guest that walks through their door. I can really feel their presence when I share their history. It's like they're here with me. So we already have our next project in mind. As soon as the McGranahans' home falls, we'd really like to rebuild it.
Heck, that sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, that sounds like a great way to start another 100 years of the McGranahan family.